Hello and welcome. Welcome to Embodiment Practices for Women. Sorry, I'm jumping on a little late, and I just want to welcome any of you that are here in live. And I had many messages from women. You know, we're so busy, right? And so I had many messages from women this morning. Are you going to record this? And yes. So if you're here listening to the recording, I just want to say thank you too for coming and taking some time. This is a topic that's super near and dear to me, and I'm super passionate about it. Just a little bit about me. I'm Christy Bemis, and I've been a psychotherapist all of my career. I've been interested in psychology. I've been interested in self-help. You can kind of see on my back bookshelf, I like self-help books a lot. And really what my passion is to take the knowledge that I learned through my own research, through my own work in psychotherapy practice, and to meld it down to a really digestible product for people to consume, for women to consume. Recently, I was enrolled in the Somatica Institute School in California, and I finished my advanced learnings with them. And I was just blown away. You know, at 51 years old, I didn't think there was much new content out there. I knew that there was a lot going on in neuroscience, and I keep up on all the journal articles around like what's happening with our knowledge there. But I didn't know that there was this whole other realm, because as a psychotherapist, I really operate, and I'm sure many of you do too, from the neck up, meaning I'm in my head a lot. When I think about thoughts and feelings and behavior, it all stems from the brain and the head. Until I started working more with my own body. And there is a wealth of knowledge in our bodies. And so today we're going to cover what is embodiment practices for women. What are they? We're going to go through 3 key tools that I've adapted and developed for my own work, as well as the Somatica Institute that I just recently completed. And we're also going to talk about like, what are the benefits? What are the, if you're not embodied, what does that look like? And just really dive in deep to some tools. So I really encourage you during this lunch and learn to, grab your water, cup of tea, grab your lunch, continue eating if you want, and grab a notebook and a pen and just sit back and learn. This isn't going to be interactive as much as it's going to be me teaching you the tools. And so you don't have to have your cameras on. You don't have to worry about being seen. This is just something to gift to yourself this time, but it will be experiential, meaning it's not just a sit and get. You're not going to just sit there, and I'm not going to just like flood you with a bunch of information talking. We're actually going to get down deep into our bodies today and really practice some of the key tools that I'm going to teach you today. And these are just the tip of the iceberg. So I really encourage you to stay on all the way to the end, because at the end, I have a really sweet offer to do some one-on-one coaching with me, as well as to join me in my monthly women's talking circles. So let's dive in. What is embodiment? Like I talked about, most of my career I spent from like the neck up. Where do our feelings come from? Where are our thoughts? Where are our beliefs? And I vastly ignored my own body. In fact, there was a period of time, years, in fact, where my body really was kind of offline, if truth be told. It was offline due to stress, burnout, lack of trust in a relationship that I was having, disconnection, no intimacy, no sex, no touch, like those kinds of things were happening for me. And it wasn't until I started taking this journey into there's got to be more. Like there's got to be more of a connection in my own body. And when I started really using embodiment practices on a pretty regular basis, I really recognized how offline and ignored my body really was. I had been stifling down my intuition, my gut. I had been ignoring some warning signs in my own life. And I had been just kind of getting through to get through, really performing for other people, but not really being in touch with myself. And the detriments of that are huge. When you're disconnected from the biggest portion of yourself, your body, and you're just up here in your head all the time. You're ignoring like 90% of the information. Your body holds stories, trauma, memories. Your body holds the potential for healing. And when we start bringing our bodies back online through some of these embodiment practices that you're going to learn today, you're going to see so many amazing benefits. So really, when I think about the definition of what is embodiment, embodiment is really a self-awareness around the whole of you. It's an awareness of the ability to slow down and to really move into your body and feel your feelings. Instead of being on automatic, somebody cut you off on traffic, you respond with anger, temper. What embodiment practices really do is they allow us to give ourselves a little time to really process what is being triggered, what is happening. And they give us time to like dive in a little deeper and really have an inner knowing around something versus knee-jerk reactions. So a big piece of embodiment is self-acceptance, slowing down. We can reach embodiment through various practices that utilize the body. And 3 of those I'm going to be teaching you today. And so that's a little bit about embodiment in terms of like just a more fuller awareness, a connection with self. I'm going to refer to my notes every once in a while and make sure I get into everything. Some of the benefits. So I talked a little bit about my own journey, right? Before we dive into the first tool. Some of the benefits of embodiment practices are this. I can tell you these are all true for me, right? It is having a deeper connection with myself. It is having a deeper connection with my whole self. It is the ability to feel feelings bigger, fuller, deeper, even the bad ones, which sometimes we're super uncomfortable with. I know the other day I was just having like a super intense day around some things with finances, right? And my whole body was feeling the discomfort of that. Now, the old me would have gone to, I can't wait till it's 5 o'clock and I can have my glass of wine, right? Or, I just want to check out. I just want to check out and like turn on the binge TV and I give up. Life is so hard. But the new me really felt the uncomfortableness of that feeling and the working through of that feeling and problem solving between my mind and my body around what does my body need right now? And really, it needed back to basics. It needed touch, it needed softness and tenderness, it needed movement and sound and breath. And so that's really that evening what I gave my body instead of going towards numbing things like binging, complaining and talking to a friend about it over and over and over, ruminating, wine or alcohol. Instead, my body went to how can I best heal in this moment in time? And I actually had some intimate time with my partner that night, which a lot of us, when we're feeling disconnected from our body, we stay in that disconnection and we cut sex out of our life. And the thing of it is when we can use our bodies to heal and we can actually open ourselves up to touch and healing touch from another person, from ourselves, it can really be a powerful, powerful tool that you can use. So we're ignoring our body as a healing tool. And that night when I did that, I slept better. I felt better in my body. I knew I was moving like a lot of emotions around, and that was okay. And there was an inner safety. So embodiment practices develop a safe space in our body when the world is feeling so unsafe or a situation is feeling so discomfort, right? So uncomfortable. Embodiment practices really allow you to tap into that inner source and that you carry safety around all over, that you don't leave home without it. You carry it around inside right here. And so I'll be talking a little bit about the safe enough practices that I've kind of developed as well. So you feel your feelings bigger, fuller, deeper, even the good ones. You have deeper connections with others. When you're more intimate and connected with self, you can be more intimate and connected with your partner, and also get your partner to get their body online so that you have better communications and stronger intimacy with each other. And you'll move into responding more to things versus being an autopilot and just reacting. Somebody cut you off in traffic, boom, you're angry. You start racing up and speeding up and maybe blow your horn and give them the finger, right? Instead, you're going to respond more intelligently to a situation like that, and less from this like off the cuff emotional place, because we're slowing everything down, right? And you can learn how to emotionally regulate yourself better so that you can handle things, so that you're making decisions from a mind body balance, not just from emotions. A lot of times I work with couples, and one of the favorite sayings that they have is, I give up, I'm done, right? With each other, which then triggers their other partner to be like, what do you mean you're done? Like, you're packing your bags, you're done, or like you're just done with this conversation right now? Like, what does I'm done mean? And oftentimes that's a reaction of an overload or a flood of emotions. And so embodiment practices allow couples to kind of co-regulate. Instead of flippantly saying something out of anger, we can respond to each other in better ways. The other day I was triggered by my partner, and I was able to say, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. Like, let me just let that sink in for a little bit and think about it. And it's not that I'm stonewalling. Stonewalling is where it's so uncomfortable to talk about, you're just gonna like ignore that, right? It wasn't that I was stonewalling. It was that I was asking for a little bit of time and breath to like process what's being triggered for me, what's happening for me. And the other benefit is it allows us to focus on, this is super important. Anybody that's followed me for a while understands how I feel about things we control and things that we don't control. It allows you, embodiment practices allow you to actually focus on the things that you do have control over and not on the things you don't. And it allows you to actively surrender. Surrender is not weakness. Surrender is an active, conscious choice to, not keep trying to like act on a situation you have no control over. And it allows you to surrender actively in some things and to release and let go in a very profound way. What embodiment practices are not, and then we're going to move into our first tool. So stay with me. And also, if you stay till the very end, I have a sweet little one-on-one coaching deal and bonus if you want to enjoy some more embodiment practices with me by signing on for 3 months or 6 months. So just make sure you stay. What it is not. A lot of women come into my practice with depression, anxiety, trauma, and things like that. And embodiment is still having maybe depression, anxiety, and trauma, but not having it own you so much, not having the symptoms like really rule your life. Other times when we're not embodied, it can lead to serious somatic issues. I know when I'm not practicing embodiment, when I'm just like in my head too much, or reacting too much, I get a migraine. Like, it's just highly connected with the level of stress I'm under and the lack of like self-care that I'm doing through embodiment practices. But IBS and other somatic things, if you have chronic pain, your pain is increased. We compromise our immune system when we're not practicing embodiment. We feel a feeling of disconnection. In relationships, we struggle with eye contact and really tuning into the conversation, being present and fully in this moment. It also can lead lack of embodiment practices can lead to a sense of lack of empathy or even apathy, where we just start not really caring a whole lot about another human being or about life in general, people in general, right? And it can and a lack of empathy for ourselves and an apathy for ourselves, like, oh, just self-disgust, right? Not thinking that we're doing our best, not allowing ourselves grace in the moment, right? It can lead to dissociation, which that's a word a lot of people throw around regarding trauma. It's very linked to the fight, flight, or freeze response. And dissociation is kind of that feeling out of your body experience and not feeling connected to your body. This morning on my podcast, I shared with you a 5-step process around moving out of dissociation back into your body. So I encourage you to listen to that through my Blog Talk Radio program. It can also lead to appeasement. I know this is a big one for me, is I don't like what is happening, but I'll smile and I'll just do it so that I can avoid the conflict. And so it can, in embodiment, not being connected to your body or being disembodied can lead to those kinds of things as well. And just an overall feeling of tension or ill at ease in life. You can always feel, I call it like a little bit of buzziness, where you just feel like my nervous system is never regulated. Feeling like an outsider. It can lead to like overeating, undereating, eating issues in general. When I'm not feeling embodied, I'm not exercising because I'm just so disconnected from my body. So I just don't feel like the need to move. And Emily Nagoski covers this so well in her book Burnout, that our bodies, when we're in burnout, need actually movement. They need us to move that energy somewhere. It can disconnect us from nature. So embodied practices connect us to nature and just, all of the air, the wind, the water, the fire, all of the elements that we can tune into. And it can disembodied people direct all their intention to their head and the stories that they live by, victim stories, stories of I'm always abused, stories around I'm at fear of abandonment. And when we are not practicing embodiment practices, it can lead to those stories. So let's practice our first one. And I want to do a shared screen while we do this, just so that you're not just staring at me the whole time. Let's just look at this beautiful picture I created for our presentation today on embodiment. And what we're going to do is find a comfortable position and uncross your legs. You're welcome to close your eyes if that helps. And really what we're going to be doing is just some deep belly breathing. And so I want you to think of your lungs all the way down to your diaphragm muscle in your belly, just above your belly button. And taking in just a nice deep breath. And sometimes, like I said, it does help to close your eyes. And taking in just a nice deep breath where you're filling up your lungs to their fullest capacity. And what I want you to do is drop in your awareness into your belly and that diaphragm muscle that's really moving for you. I closed my eyes, so I invite you to close yours. And the next breath, we're really going to direct even lower down into our lower belly, just below our belly button. I invite you to exhale, making noise, which is just lovely. And I'll talk a little bit more about why that's so lovely for our bodies to make some noise. And our next breath, we're going to drop into our vulva, our yoni. We're really feeling where our vulva sits on the seat of the chair or the cushion or the couch that we're sitting on. And really directing our attention there. I want you to take in a nice deep breath into the pelvic floor area, focusing all your attention there. Again, an invitation to exhale with noise, and we're going to do that 2 more times. And one more inhale deeply, deeply into the pelvic floor. I want you to notice just the difference in your body between holding our breath or shallow breathing, which we probably all came into. I know I'm guilty of that today. And this deeper, deeper, deeper belly breath that's really focusing its attention on our body. It's taking the attention out of our mind and into our bodies. And I want you to just notice, what is your body feeling right now as we just move through that 3-part process of chest to belly to lower belly to yoni or vulva breathing. What information does your body have for you today? This might be the first conversation that you've had with your body in a really, really, really long time. And that's okay. Say hello. Nice to meet you again. Feel into how that feels. Does it feel good? Does it feel scary? For me, this day, I feel like my body warming up a little bit and kind of like, I've been struggling a little physically, like just not feeling great. I think I have a bug of some kind. So I'm definitely noticing like, okay, like there's still some like, residual kind of feelings in my body around that. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Initially, when I started breathing, I felt the tension, and now I'm feeling like that is kind of floating away a little bit. There was excitement coming in to do this webinar, and so I'm attending to that. Like I'm feeling that tension that was kind of growing and building in my body as I was rereading my notes one last time maybe and going through the outline, and I'm noticing like that's going away, and there's like a natural flow. I invite you to do this embodied breathing multiple times a day over the next week and just see if you can tune into your body more. You can even do a scan. I like to do a scan from the top of my head, down the front and the back of my face, through my neck, my shoulders, my arms, my chest, and my back, all the way into my belly and my butt and my pelvis, down my thighs, down my knees, down my legs. And I like to do a body scan to really check in. Where is my body calling its attention for me to like be aware of? Listening to my body more. I'm really feeling a need as I do that body scan, just really briefly for myself. I'm feeling a need to move my body. So after I get done here, I might do some dance, because so far today I've done podcasts, preparing for this webinar, and then jumping into something else. And so my body's saying, hey, I need some attention here, some movement. We've been stagnant far too long today. So I just want to invite you back. Stop sharing my screen and invite you back here to the presence. And I want to talk a little bit about the importance of embodiment practices. There's 4 or 5 key areas. One is breath, which we just did. Another one is movement, which we aren't going to do a whole lot of today, but it's something that when I'm coaching with you, I definitely coach you through some movement in your body, because when your body feels it, it has information, and it can be like, oh, I'm feeling like this. Like I was helping a woman with flirtation and dating in a coaching session, and we actually did like flirtation and like what that felt like, and like did a role play, did a practice, an experiential practice around it. And what she was noticing coming up for her body, she would kind of report back and be like, oh, I'm noticing this and I'm noticing that. And where she was holding herself back, or where fear was maybe kind of bubbling up for her. And so movement, actually experiencing in the body, can help give you so much information about who you are and where you want to go in life. The other one I mentioned a little bit was around sound. And you noticed when I exhaled, I made sound. Sound is so important for our body. When we're sounding, we're actually vibrating all of this area, which is right along our spine, right behind our throat, along our spine, and all the way down into our belly is the longest nerve in our body called the vagus nerve. What's important about that is when we're sounding or we're deep belly breath, the diaphragm is pushing up against our spine. When we're sounding, we're vibrating, and the vagus nerve gets stimulated then. And the vagus nerve is responsible for the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite of the stress response, the opposite of fight, flight, freeze, appease, dissociate. Did you ever hum when you're feeling upset or bored? Did you ever scream out of anger when you're like so upset with somebody? What our bodies are doing is trying to self-soothe. My partner makes fun of me because I make a lot of noise. Like when I'm like first laying down to sleep, I'm like, oh, and like I make just noises getting up out of bed. I make noises throughout my day. I sigh, I yawn big, and I stretch, and I make like noises as I stretch. And there's a reason I do that. It's self-soothing. It like feels really good. My body feels really good when I do that. And so I encourage you over the next week, along with practicing the embodied breathing, I encourage you to make more noise in your day. Like take up your space in your house, be open to like sounds. So much of the time we just are quiet and we just walk around quietly in our homes, or we let other people take up space. And so what I'm suggesting to you is make some noise, see what kind of noises your body wants to make and let it do that. Yawning is a super reset for our nervous system. So if you ever need a nice reset, like I'm just feeling so stressed out, you get the movement, you get the sound, you get the breath, all in one big reset motion. And then the fourth area around embodiment practices is touch, self-touch, and receiving touch from others. Next week, I'm doing women's talking circles. If you're watching this around the time that it's recorded live, on the art of receiving for women. And that's so important for us. I think about during the pandemic, so many people were like feeling so lonely and touch deprived. Some people that I talked to had gone 6 months to 12 months without touching another human being or being touched by another human being. And we really suffer, like our nervous system, our embodiment practices needs that touch. If we're not getting it from somewhere else, we need to be getting it from self. And so it's super important to emphasize that. The other piece of things I want to talk about, the fifth area of like embodiment practices. So we have breath, sound, movement, touch, is presence, or I like to even say attunement. Attunement is super important. Attunement is, the other day I was on a consultation call with a woman who came in, and I was coming in like super excited, like, hi, I'm Christy Bemis. I'm so glad to meet you. And she physically said to me, hey, I'm wondering if you could drop the level of energy down a notch because I'm really feeling tender today on this call. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I lowered my voice more. I kind of took the like da 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 joy, like bubbliness out, and kind of just brought in like this peace and calm. But even over the phone, we can attune to other people. So what attunement really is it's highly linked with empathy, those mirror neurons that you feel something, I feel something, right? I'm in it with you, not in the same way, but I'm here and I'm present and I'm available with you. Attunement is being able to see the person across from you and mirror where they are in their presence. Attunement in self is being able to drop into your body and check in with yourself and say, hang on, let me just feel into what I'm feeling about that. I think this language is super new, and some people are like, it sounds really woo-woo and new agey. And it's like, it is a little woo-woo. And what's wrong with a little woo-woo? Like maybe we all need a little more woo-woo in our life, and dropping into our bodies and really feeling into our bodies. If you want to call it woo-woo, go for it. I call it knowledge. And let's start, really tapping into the knowledge that our body has. So the next tool that I want to give you, and we're meeting for about an hour today, so we're about at the halfway mark. The next tool I want to give you is a feelings journey, and it's developing that attunement with yourself and the ability to drop into your body. So I don't want to just say drop into your body. I'm actually going to teach you, like, what does that feel like to drop into your body? So again, I want you to get in a really sweet, like, comfortable position. And we're going to just take like what Somatica calls an embodied feelings journey. Let me see if I can do, I don't want to do that, a shared screen again. Yeah. And let's go to the next one. Breath, sound, touch. Yeah. So get in a comfortable position, close your eyes. This is tool number 2, which is a feelings journey. I want you to take a couple deep breaths into your belly and tap into however you know how to get in touch with your feelings. For me, I like to touch my chest. I like to put my hands on my belly. And I just want you to notice your senses, from sight to visualization in your head, to sound, to smell, to taste. Just noticing your senses and feel your body. And what we're going to do with this tool is a study of different ways in which you are feeling. You might experience feelings as sensations. Some people experience feelings as sounds or colors, or even a spectrum of light, a feeling of heat or coolness or contraction, expansion, tension, all kinds of ways that we can experience feelings in our body. And let yourself remember a time in which you felt the first feeling, which is going to be excitement about something. When was a time you felt excitement, anticipating, filled with excitement? Something was going to happen. Maybe it was going to be a surprise, or maybe a lover was coming to visit. Allow yourself to feel really excited. Let yourself notice, what does excitement feel like in my body? I want you to notice your breath, your heartbeat, the colors, the images and sensations. Notice where you feel it in your body. Notice any thoughts you have, and just feel the whole experience of excitement. What does excitement feel like for you? And we're going to shake that excitement a little bit. Shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. Move your body. Come back to a more neutral state. Feel your buttocks planted in the chair you're on, and feel your body again. Find a neutral, relaxed, and calm presence. Taking a nice deep breath, remembering to breathe. The next is we're going to go to angry or pissed off, and get a sense of the energy of what anger feels like in your body, what it sounds like. Take an inventory of your anger markers, your own unique experience. Think about a time in the recent past that you felt so angry. Maybe you were shaking. Maybe it's associated with a color. Maybe there's a sound to it, and you can even allow yourself to sound to that anger. And when you feel ready to come back to neutral, again, shake it off, move through your body. You're back from anger. We're going to dive into the next feeling. Again, this is just a journey. We have 2 more to go. And the next feeling is sadness and loss. Your body is your lab right now, and you're studying what sadness feels like in your body. And even let your facial expressions move to sadness so that the feeling can really course its way through you. Does it feel heavy or light? Are there any images associated with it? Sounds, feelings, maybe even places and spaces? Hmm. I know this sounds maybe slightly weird, but thank the sadness and the feeling that it makes in your body. Make a mental list of all the ways that sadness feels like in your body, with your emotions, and with your energy level. And feel that you can come back out of that sadness and move more into a neutral state. See what you need to let sadness come out of your body. Maybe a big breath in and a large exhale out with noise. Maybe you need to shake it off. But move more into that neutral state. And we're going to move into a memory you had when you were happy. Let a smile play across your face. Maybe even laugh and find that moment in the happiness where there was flow. Notice where you feel happiness in your body, what it looks like, what it sounds like, and what thoughts go along with it. And let yourself enjoy that happiness just for a moment. And know that when you come out of happiness, it doesn't mean that something's wrong with you when you're not happy all the time. Pay attention to where in your body you feel happiness that's unique just for you. And whenever you are ready, come back into the here and now and join us for our last part of today's webinar on embodiment practices for women. So that was a feelings journey, and it is meant to have you tap into more of the knowledge that your body really holds regarding the feelings that you have. And also, I call it like emotional literacy for you. I do have a course called emotional literacy for women that defines the difference between emotions, feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. And I invite you to explore that sometime with me. It's a great course with several modules to help you through that process. But this embodiment practice is really about how do you develop that self-compassion, that empathy, but also the knowledge. What does anger feel like versus excitement versus sadness versus happiness, and then all kinds of other feelings. They feel different in our body, and we need to know what the differences are in them. And we also need to know, are we allowing ourselves to feel them, or are we like shutting ourselves off from those feelings? Are we moving into fight, flight, freeze, dissociate, or appease instead of feeling all of the feelings that we deserve and need to feel for the human experience in our body? We're going to do one more tool as we close out our time together. And it's really around mapping your triggers, like mapping what triggers you have in your body. I know what my triggers are. It's things that somebody can say or do to me that really are a trigger for me. I have a couple triggers around like abandonment or like leaving me. And then I have some triggers, just basic ones around like criticism and feedback that I haven't solicited from you. Um, and so I want you to think about what is a trigger and just take a few moments. Is there something your partner can say to you or a significant other can say to you, maybe an adult child or a young child in your life that would trigger you? And what would be a sentence maybe that somebody could say? A big one for me is when I've disappointed somebody, like that's a huge trigger for me. Um, and so just pick one from that. And what I want you to do is I want you to feel sensations, emotions, thoughts, and also think about your impulses around this trigger. So you can close your eyes even. I'll keep it on the screen with me as I talk you through your trigger and feel into what that trigger feels like in your body. Where do you feel it most? Do you feel a heaviness, a tightness, heat, shutting down, floating, maybe tension? Where do you feel that trigger land in your body? You know what the trigger is, but where is it landing for you? How do you know it's a trigger for you? I want you to think about like what emotions you might be having. You can even take out your journal and write some of them. Does the trigger make you feel sad, angry, maybe deflated, terrified? Maybe it makes you feel misunderstood, engulfed. Maybe it makes you feel embarrassed or ashamed or rejected. What kind of thoughts are rushing through your head? Are you saying things to yourself right now as you think about the trigger? I knew it. He doesn't care about me. Here we go again, another conflict. I just can't take it anymore. Fine, I guess this is just how life is. Might as well learn to put up with it. What thoughts run through your head? We're going to move into what impulses might be happening. What kind of things do you want to do or say in order to protect yourself? For example, you might feel like stomping out, slamming the door, hitting something, or yelling. You might want to say something super insensitive and insulting. You might want to end it all. You might want to hit the other person. You might want to curl up into a ball and just begin crying. The power of mapping your triggers as an embodiment practice is that the next time you're triggered, you might be more successful. And so, what I want you to do is take in a couple nice deep breaths. You can even audibly sigh on the breath's way out of your body. And thank your body for feeling that trigger, for allowing the feelings, the sensations, the emotions, the thoughts to come through so that you can learn from them. And what new understanding, when we're done with this webinar, I want you to journal a little bit about what that trigger felt like in your body. What new understanding do you have about your trigger? Where does it come from? Maybe a childhood memory, a body experience, maybe something with kids you grew up with. Maybe you were bullied and that trigger is directly like scraping a little bit along that line, right? Triggers are, generally speaking, something that we experienced long, long ago. Maybe it was an unmet need with our caregiver, a fear, something that really did happen, an experience or a trauma. And a lot of times when we're feeling triggered, and maybe even our partner or loved one is feeling triggered, I want you to imagine like all the adults have like now left the room, even though the two adults are standing there maybe. But really what you have in front of you is the 12-year-old hurt girl and the 12-year-old hurt boy. If you're, in a heterosexual couple, or maybe you have the 12-year-old girl and a 12-year-old girl standing in front of you. And there are no adults in the room. What does the 12-year-old self need? What does she need to hear and see? What does she need to say? Maybe she needs to stand up for herself. Maybe she needs to walk away. And maybe she needs time and space or to co-regulate. I want you to feel just a little bit more compassionate as you drop into your body and you learn these embodiment practices. They're really a whole new way of being in the world. When my partner and I are fighting, I often don't see the man standing in front of me. I see that hurt little boy that for 2 weeks his mom left and didn't know if she was going to return, right? And how scary that must have felt when I threatened to leave and not return, right? It's seeing one another with greater empathy, validating each other's experience, even if we don't agree with it, leading with curiosity and not making assumptions, and really opening ourselves up to a more human experience with one another, giving ourselves a little bit of grace to be who we are. And I think that's the importance, the big key theme around embodiment practices is give yourself a little grace. You're human. Don't expect yourself not to be. Yeah. Thank you for joining me today. I want to invite you, if you're watching this, to join me in my women's talking circles. We meet monthly and we talk about things around intimacy, connection, and relationships that are important to you. And for anybody that signs up over the next few days to coach with me, you can get the women's talking circles for free. And I would love to support you in learning more embodiment practices and really tailoring each of these from the embodied breathing exercise and body scan. Some of you may have come up with a glitch in the system, like I noticed my throat is tightening and I need more attention there, but I don't know what that's about. And through individual coaching, we can really explore what is that about there? How can we help you find, your voice again? All the way through the feelings journey. Maybe there was a feeling that came up and you were like, ooh, that's strong, and I need some work around that. We can tailor that feelings journey to that, along with using other tools. Or maybe you were practicing the triggered and you're recognizing, I am really reacting like intensely lately with my partner or with my adult child. I need to do something or figure something out here. And we can tailor the individualized work and the one-on-one work in working through that. And basically, what I want to leave you with is you deserve to live a life that is more embodied and feels whole. And you deserve to be connected and loved really well. I know for years I tolerated a less than loving relationship for me. And I just allowed myself to get numbed off because maybe that's just what life is. And maybe that's just what a long-term marriage is. And what I can tell you is you and or with your partner, if you have a willing partner who's able to join you, can do this work together and really deepen your connections and your love and your intimacy. I can guarantee that when you start doing embodied practice, your life feels so much richer. Thanks for joining me today. It was so lovely having you. And I hope you enjoyed these 3 key tools. There's so many more that we can learn to work on. Disappointment, we can learn to work on, flirting and dating. We can learn to work on being more visible, being more confident out there. There's lots of areas that embodiment practices can touch and heal for you. take good care of yourself and be well.